Yo, welcome back to the Chatty Chumbs podcast. You already know it's your boy Isaac Lopez, and I got my other boy here.
What's up, guys? It's Josh. What's up?
Shoot, Josh the Bruno on the mic.
Cane specialist.
You already know we're going to talk about some virtues today.
On reading well for the book.
That's right. All right, so I think my boy Josh is going to be talking about kindness, and then I'm going to be talking about diligence.
Yeah, and then near the end, we're just going to kind of compare the two and see if we agree or disagree on which is more important.
Yep, and how we can apply it to our lives. And yeah, so Josh, start us off with some juicy goodness. Just give us like the broad definition and all that kind of stuff about kindness.
All right, so a lot of us, whenever we think of kindness, we think of it almost as being nice or thinking it's something so simple or natural. But kind of basing off of the book, kindness isn't natural to most of us, which is why it's a virtue that needs to be taught and cultivated. I chose kindness because out of all the virtues, that's the one that I can relate to the most towards. And I also have experience with not only being kind towards others, but it's also my kindness is being interpreted as something far from what I intend. So I think people interpret kindness as being flirty or not genuine or almost something that's not what the intent was behind, because it's not common to be like that anymore. You know, people aren't normally kind, or people use kindness to get something. And in today's age, it's being kind to one another has been lost as normal, to the point where kindness is almost rejected from society because people assume that there's some undertone message or plan from it. And when we're tying it to the book on reading well, written by Karen Swallow Prior, we tend to group being kind and being nice as the same, when in reality, anyone can act nice, but being kind is deeper and more intimate than that of acting nice. So whenever we're looking into someone that's being kind, it's almost like it's almost refreshing when you meet someone that's kind, because you know it's genuine and not just fake with someone being nice.
All right, I agree with you. Can you give like an example on how like you can show kindness like to others or just to anything in general?
Yeah, so not even with the book, but just in general, like kindness can just be seen in any aspects, whether it's just holding the door for someone or just saying hello to somebody, because people kind of tend to group kindness as something that's almost hard to do because it's not normal anymore. So whenever we look at examples of being kind, we almost can just look at that as just being genuine towards someone, just being yourself to a point where you just make anyone comfortable. And another example of that is if you just ask someone like how their day is going, or like compliment them, like that can make someone's day so much better. And like you don't even realize it. And then whenever you go to them and just tell them, like, let's say you compliment their shoes, or like you compliment a shirt or something, like, and then you don't even know what they're going through that day. They could be having the worst day ever, and you could just make their day so much better.
Okay, so you said like kindness and being nice is different.
Yeah.
Like some of the examples you said, wouldn't you consider that just being nice, like complimenting someone or like asking how someone's day is? Like, what do you think? Like, what's like the major difference between the two?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so though similar, the difference would have to be in how genuine it is and then the intent behind it. So sure, it's nice, getting a compliment, but if you're talking to me and then like I compliment you, I could have some kind of personal gain there. So like, yes, I'm being nice. I feel like kindness at its root and at the base level of what it is, it's really just something that has no intent behind it, that's not for the purpose of really just being genuine and being kind. So even though, yes, they are similar, the difference would be at its core of the intent behind it.
You said personal gain. What do you mean by like personal gain?
Yeah, so personal gain. So for personal gain, it's really just a benefit or any like advantage that kind of a person benefits from, whether it's for just themselves, for a group, for work, or anything, for a family. And it's just, when I say personal gain, I mean the intent isn't just to compliment them to make them happy. The intent is, for example, let's say you go up to someone and you offer them, like, I'm sure we all heard this growing up in like elementary school or whatever, you offer them like a bite of something you're eating, but then that's because you want a bite of what they're having. But then if they don't give it back to you, what happens? You get upset and mad because you offered them first. That's kind of an example of the personal gain, because it's not just a selfless act. It's more of a selfish act. So then with kindness, there is no personal gain there. And if there is any personal gain, then it would just be the satisfaction of being happy and knowing you made someone's day way better.
Caleb Bruno, that was some good insight. I got another question to throw out for you, and we're going to go deep into the Bible now.
Yeah, let's hear it.
All right, so Luke 6:35 says, "But love your enemies and do good and lend, expect nothing in return, and your reward will be great, and you will be sons of the Most High, for He is kind to the grateful and the evil." And my question for you is, how do you think Jesus shows kindness, and how do you think He wants us to like spread kindness to others?
Yeah, so I think, obviously the Sunday school answer would just be saying, God or Jesus came to earth and paid the ultimate sacrifice for us, dying on the cross, how kind of him. But I think if you really look into what he really did, he is part of the Trinity. He is God's son. And not only did he die for our sins, but he also washed people's feet. He did miracles. He preached to people. He did it in a way that was honoring, respectful. And then what did the people do? They turned their backs on him. They pushed him away because they didn't believe or they didn't want to accept the facts or the miracles that were presented right in front of them. So the examples of kindness from the Bible of what Jesus does, and I think the overall message that he gives to us is just to live in the best way that we can that glorifies God, and that starts with kindness, and kindness is only generated from our heart. And if our heart's in the right place, then our heart can only be in the right place from believing God and believing Jesus and turning to his word.
Valid. So like, why do you think kindness is like so important in like our daily lives and just like our spiritual lives, like our relationship with God? Like, why do you think like kindness, like out of all the virtues, why would you say this is like the one? Like this, this is like a necessity.
Yeah, I'd say that kindness is like, if not the most important virtue of the ones from the book, is because it's one that people think is so easy and already so obvious, but in reality, it's really not. It's something that's either taken for granted or people view as not genuine or view as just something that's not really what it is. And honestly, it's not kind. It's something that's twisted for personal gain. And the reason why I think it's so important is because if we were just more kind towards each other, that would solve so many problems and make so many solutions and things that would just make our world and make just our faith more strong. Because if we have kindness in our heart and there's no malice and there's no ill intent towards others, that's just a great way of really glorifying God in our words and our actions.
Okay, solid. So I agree with you on all your points. I think they're pretty solid. Do you think there are any other like virtues that kind of tie into kindness, or like maybe like can apply to it?
Yeah, so if we're looking at other virtues that can maybe potentially tie in with kindness, I'd say love. At the root of kindness is love. If there's kindness in your heart, there's love towards others in your heart. If you're being kind towards others, that's a great way of showing affection and love towards others. So I think they really do work hand in hand in the way of, if someone's kind to me, that is almost an act of love that just comes out of selflessness. And if someone shows love or shows kindness or just puts anything that makes you feel those feelings inside whenever certain acts are being happened, it's a good feeling, because it's not a feeling that most people feel on a day-to-day basis nowadays, which sucks because it should be, because God teaches us to be kind and love others how we want to be treated. And if we really want to live out what the Bible says about all these different virtues, then I do believe it starts with kindness and ends with love, and that's only achievable from God's love.
All right. Thanks, Josh, for your insight on the kindness. Very insightful.
Thank you.
All right, so now I guess it's my turn.
Yeah, so let's hear, what virtue did you choose, Isaac?
So I got diligence.
So diligence. So what is diligence?
So it basically means just like, it's like the quality of your work and like the amount of effort you put into it. For example, if you work diligently, like you'll work hard for like the goal you want to complete. And like for example, like your homework or something, if you put more effort or you put more diligence in doing your homework, you're going to get something better out of it, which is like a better grade or, blah, blah, blah. If you work with a partner, if you work with more diligence, then like there's a better outcome for you too. And like for most accomplishments in life, they require diligence. And like in Latin, diligence means like to single out, to value highly, esteem, prize, or love. It's like the virtue that like almost kind of like brings out the best like version of you. Like if you have diligence, like you'll come out and you'll show like that you put a ton of effort and you're a hardworking person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So if I'm hearing you right, what you're saying is if you want to achieve something in life, you basically you kind of have to be diligent in whatever you're working towards.
Yeah. So like, if you want to like I know like mostly on this podcast we're like basically going off like the book on reading well. Like it talks a lot about like your achievements and like how you have to have like some sort of like diligence like in order to like achieve something.
Mm-hmm.
But like diligence like itself isn't like measured by like the outcome. It's like kind of what you get out of it. So and yeah, and like in the book it says being busy is easier than being good. So kind of like going off to like the whole achievement part and stuff like that. Like in order to achieve, you have to like keep yourself busy and stuff like that. Like for example, like diligence in reading might mean like reading 2 books a week, and then like not reading digitally like might just be like reading a few pages at night. So that kind of shows like if you put like more work than like you actually like need, like if you show like you're like almost like overachieving in a sense. Like then you're like showing more diligence than rather than just like doing the bare minimum. Mm-hmm. Like you don't want to do that. You like at least for me, like I kind of feel like in certain things, in certain tasks, like at work or something, like I'm not like the person to do like the bare minimum. I like go out of my way to do like a little bit more. Like if I'll see like something that like maybe doesn't need attention now, but like maybe someone else will have to do it later, then I'll step up and like do it myself. Because if you do like the bare minimum, then it's kind of like if you do more than the bare minimum, then like they're likely like in the future like you'll get like a better reward out of it. Like for me, like if I like show that I work hard at work, and like I show that like I go outside the box, I do other things that maybe like other people just don't want to do, then like like maybe I'll get like a little bonus or like a little raise or something, and then like that just kind of like adds up. You like simply doing like the simplest things like sweeping or like wiping down something, like that can just like gain diligence right there. Like you can just be more diligent by doing that.
For sure. So you play soccer at the school, and have you always been on varsity at the school?
Yeah, well, we've only had one team, so.
Okay, yeah, but have you always been a starter, or is that something you kind of had to work towards?
Yeah, I would say like I had to work towards it. Like my freshman year, we were like really small. Like we were always like had to kind of fight for like a spot or something like that. But yeah, like I think like if we're talking about like that or like sports or something like that, like that's a good example and a good point that like a lot of people like for bigger sports at the school, like maybe like baseball or something, like even though there's like 3 different teams for soft, junior varsity and varsity, I'm sure like all those players still have to fight for their spot. Like, and that just requires like, you know, like I said, hard working and putting like that effort in, like training, like going to the gym, like doing the stuff that you don't want to do, but you know you have to do it in order to like get what you want out of it.
Yeah, because like the things that you want in life aren't just going to fall into your lap. You know, it's through hard work. And like for you wake up at 4:30 every morning and go work out. That's because you're diligent with knowing that the goal you want in life, you have to achieve it one way or the other. So you're going to put in all the work you can.
Yeah, that's a good point too. Like for me, like I would say like I do have like some sort of diligence just when it comes to certain things. One of them is like just like lifting and stuff like that. I'm like a big like gym goer. I go every day, 4:30 in the morning.
Gym rat.
You got that right. But yeah, like that just kind of shows that. But I kind of feel like, I don't know if you can have like too much diligence or something like that, because I feel like that kind of takes away, like if we're taking this like to the Christianity route, like that kind of like puts like that in front of God and for me, like just in a sense, just because I'm like so obsessed with it. I don't know if like you have like the same issues, like almost like you're idolizing something or like an activity or something.
Yeah, so like for me, I think it would be different because as of right now, I don't do a sport, but I am pretty involved with the performing arts and the plays. So whenever I was trying to go for this lead role that I have now in the play, that wasn't something that I just woke up one day and went to tryouts and got the part. It was, you know, all summer I was rehearsing stuff, learning songs, looking at the shows and different angles, looking at the scripts on PDF files online. You know, it's not something that I just woke up and decided to do. It was actually something that I go, okay, I need this and I really want this and I'm going to get this because I put in more work than the other people. And that at the end of the day is something that I can say that I did. You know, I put in more work than the people that wanted that spot. And then I ended up getting it because I was diligent in knowing that I was able to do the work and then the outcome would come because I knew my mindset was better than the other people that were going for it. Even though everyone that got it could have gotten it, everyone was amazing, and it came down to who was either more prepared or who was more fine-tuned, fine-sharpened, Like, it's not that anyone was bad. It was more of, like, who wanted it more and who showed that more. So I think with everything that you do in life, it really is, if you're diligent with what you're doing, and then the outcome will definitely be shown from the amount of work that you put in, and people will definitely notice that.
Yeah, so you just, you put in more effort than everyone else. You showed your diligence, and you got the reward that you wanted.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think diligence is, I think it's, probably, the hardest and easiest virtue to, apply to your life. Especially in, today's time, I feel like a lot of people don't have, a ton of diligence. Some people are just lazy or blah, blah, blah. But I think diligence is really important when it comes to our relationship with Christ, because for us we need to put in order to have a strong relationship with Jesus and God, it's we need to put some kind of effort, whether that's just going to church, reading your Bible, praying, all that stuff. But if we don't do that, then it's what's the point? You're just believing something to believe it. Yeah, you have to apply it to your life in some way or another.
Right. Yeah. Because anything you want, it's not just going to be given to you. So whenever we're growing up, our parents at one point spurred us on, hopefully, at least I'll talk for myself. My parents spurred me on with my relationship with Christ. I was blessed enough to grow up in a Christian household where, Jesus was the center, and, prayer every morning, church every Sunday. And, I went to a Christian school my whole life. But then I came to an age to where now, I'm 18, and now if I want a relationship with Christ, it's something that I have to go seek after. It's not just going to be something that my parents can help me go through. Even though they can only take it so far. So now it's, I'm at the point now where if I really want to expand my relationship with Christ, I have to open that Bible. I have to go to church. I have to really actually focus in Bible class at school, which can be hard whenever you're friends with everyone in the class and everyone's trying to make you laugh. So it really is that mindset of how badly do you want that? Because it really is the ultimate goal whenever you realize that whenever you die, you know where you're going. And for me, I know where I'm going.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Solid, dude. I like it. From the Bible, a verse that kind of stood out to me, just kind of about diligence, is 2 Peter 3:14. It says, "So, beloved, since you are looking forward to these things, be diligent and make every effort to be found by him at his return, spotless and blameless, in peace that is inwardly calm, with a sense of spiritual well-being and confidence, having a life of obedience to him." And this is just kind of saying how you need to have diligence and work for him. He's got to be your number one priority in life. And if he's not, then you're not living for the purpose he made you for at this earth, if you know what I mean.
For sure. So now that we've kind of heard both sides of what the virtue of kindness is and what the virtue of diligence is, a way to kind of finalize this and
wrap
just
it up
is if we're looking at the book on page 210, we see that being kind is so much more than being sensible, reserved, or mild. It is much more than being nice. And then also on page 211, we see kindness in its inherent connection to truth must be grounded in the real. And if we're trying to connect the two, because these are both good virtues that I think everyone should at one point put their all into to really see what they can get out of it, because it's so important. At the end of the day, it's what the truth is and what God's truth is. So diligence, kindness, those are both things that God portrays in the Bible. And those are both things that I think God portrays perfectly. That just shows that if we want a deeper connection with God, we have to have God's kindness and we have to have God's diligence in every aspect that we do, because the ultimate reward is so rewarding.
Yeah.
The final question I think we're going to have today is, in your opinion, what do you think is a more important virtue now that we've kind of heard both sides?
Yeah, so I'm gonna have to go with my virtue,
With
honestly.
diligence?
Yeah, just because I feel if we don't have diligence in our lives, then especially in Christianity and all that kind of stuff, in religion, it's just so important, because if we don't put in that effort, then we're not living for the purpose that God made us. I understand kindness is very important too. But it doesn't have to like it doesn't apply as much as diligence does to like our relationship with God, if that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, if I'm looking at both of them, and honestly, now that I've heard both sides and that you've given some good evidence from the book and just your own personal experiences, I think I'm actually going to say I agree with you. I see diligence as being a necessity for our life, and a necessity for our walk with Christ and our faith. And I see that as a huge benefit that we can really get a ton out of. And honestly, even with being diligent, we can also be kind from being diligent, because diligence just leads to so many doors that we can just walk through. And at the end of the day, it's all to glorify God and to really just strengthen our relationship with Him.
All right,
cool.
So I think Isaac won the dub,
or
got the victory royale. Duh. So
it's because I don't play.
Okay, so yeah, that's gonna wrap the Chatty Chumbs for today.
All right, cool.
Stay tuned for another epic episode. And GG's.
All right, later.
This episode has been a production of the Capistrano Valley Christian Schools Podcast Network. Capistrano Valley Christian Schools is a Christian JK through 12 school in San Juan Capistrano, California. Be sure to check out, subscribe to, and leave a review of this show and the other shows on our network on your podcast player of choice. Doing so supports the school community in a multitude of ways. For more information about the CVCS Podcast Network or any of our other shows, check out cvcs.org or email podcasts@cvcs.org. On behalf of the whole network, this is Mr. Jasper saying thank you again for listening, and stay tuned for more.